Good morning. Today's Tuesday, April 8th. I'm Elizabeth Hasselbeck. The president claims women deserve equal pay, just not the women at the White House.
Obviously, though, at the 88 cents that you cite, that is not 100, but it is better than the national average.
Okay, Carney, so you get an E for effort. What the heck is he saying? Laura Ingraham is going to react straight ahead.
And here he goes again. Reid slamming the Koch brothers.
Though our clothing here in the Senate, we don't bear any commercial logos. Many Republican senators these days might as well wear Koch Industries insignias.
Like guys from NASCAR, Harry says. But as Harry looked into his own pocket, he needs to stitch a K on there because Reid took Koch money too. Oops. You know where Laura Ingraham goes. Once a week she comes on our show, and there she is live from our nation's capital. Good morning to you, Laura.
Well, you know, my brothers went to UConn. I'm from Connecticut.
There you go.
So, yeah.
Happy
really happy.
That's good.
Really happy, guys.
And a little tired. It was on late.
It was. I was at the game on Saturday and in Dallas, and that was crazy, totally insane. But I had to come home. Couldn't stay for the last game. But let me tell you, it is party time in Connecticut all through the state today. So we're in a good mood.
It sure is. Laura, hey, what do you think of all this gender gap talk and equal pay day today being the 8th? What's your take on that?
Well, you know, this is the time of year for lots of myths, right? We have the Easter Bunny and Peeps. You know, I know Brian likes the pink Peeps. Brian, I don't know why the pink Peeps are your favorites. That's very odd. But
I like the yellow.
You like the hollow bunny, Steve. I like the solid bunny. But these are all myths, okay? And then the equal pay day, you know, it makes, I think, the left feel like, you know, they're accomplishing something. But as the great piece in the Journal, the Wall Street Journal today, by Mark Perry points out that this supposed wage gap, the 81% Bureau of Labor Statistics wage gap, does not account for risk factors in jobs taken, does not account for educational focus. If you go to college, what you focused on in college, what your major was. It doesn't account for the number of hours worked per week, nor does it account for the number of months or years continuously worked. So when you factor in all of those very relevant levels of consideration, the wage gap essentially disappears. It goes down to virtually, you know, like 5%, 6%. So that's the real truth. But again, this is the way the left, you know, keeps the drumbeat going. And I'd say it's the 4 Ds: deflect, divide, demean, and distract. We're distracting from really bad and lousy job creation for the Obama administration, and it's not surprising. This is what they always do. It's just a total myth.
Well, you know what? Delightful the way you broke it down into all those Ds. So the president today is going to sign a couple of executive orders. He's going to bypass Congress because he's trying to turn this gender wage disparity thing into a campaign issue.
Of course.
But like you just said, it doesn't exist when men and women do exactly the same job. However, when they look at the statistics at the White House, it turns out women are only getting paid 88 cents on the dollar for every dollar that a man makes. Jay Carney was asked about this disparity with a D yesterday, and he had this to say after hamana, hamana, hamana.
What I can tell you is that we have, as an institution here, have aggressively addressed this challenge. And obviously, though, at the 88 cents that you cite, that is not 100, but it is better than the national average.
It's all for political purposes and to take our eyes off of Obamacare.
Yeah, well, I think we should print up T-shirts. 88 is not 100. That is the great wisdom coming out of the White House today. Look, I know we're going to talk about Reid in a moment with the Koch brothers. It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
The finger is always pointed back at them. They're wagging their finger, but, you know, it's like Buddha said, the finger's always pointed back at you. So this is what they're actually doing at the White House. But really, what Obama wants to do, the president wants to do, is make it easier for employees to sue employers.
Yes.
That's great. That's exactly what we need at a time where we're not creating good-paying jobs for women, men, people of all ethnicities and races. We need good-paying jobs. We need Keystone Pipeline. We need common sense taxation, which doesn't, burden people, especially women who are heads of households. That's the kind of stuff we need for women out there, not this nonsense, more lawsuits in the workplace. That's the last thing we need.
Harry Reid is somebody who always comes up and says, almost like wildcatting. He comes out, Mitt Romney, everyone knows Mitt Romney doesn't pay taxes. Everybody knows the war is lost. Everyone of Surge isn't working. Now the latest one is Koch brothers. Every time he's on the Senate floor, he's talking about the Koch brothers and how Koch brothers really should be staple to everything that every Republican wears because they're supplying the whole Republican Party. However, upon further review, it turns out that Robert P. Hall, who worked for the Koch brothers, was somebody who gave to Harry Reid's campaign. How does that make him feel this morning?
Well, I mean, again, this is the typical problem that Democrats run into. They start demonizing individual citizens from the well of the Senate, which I haven't seen before. A sitting senator take after two men who have done an enormous amount for the free market, who are they are merely expressing their views in the political system. This is what George Soros does. Sure. This is what Steven Spielberg does. This is what David Geffen does. They all spend an enormous amount of money in politics. They're not demonized, but these two individuals are demonized in the well of the Senate by a man who has his own connections to a subsidiary of the Koch brothers. It is Harry Reid should be called out on this by every Republican and everyone of good conscience in the U.S. Senate. I find what he's doing on this to be, frankly, dangerous. It's disturbing, but it's typical Harry. He doesn't have a record to talk about, so he demeans and tries to divide by going after two men who have not violated laws, who are businessmen trying to actually create opportunities for people in this country. I find it disgusting.
I can tell.
Yeah, it's just I mean, Harry Reid just has to, go back to the oatmeal bowl.
We know you got to go get ready for your radio show. Heard across the country in about 50 minutes. Yeah, she is ready.
Go Huskies.
We'll see you back here next week. Meanwhile,
sorry, Kentucky, we like you, but sorry.
Indeed. All right.